Well, it's been a week. Hello, cruise besties. Welcome back to the channel. There was a lot of changes that happened last week. There's been a lot of drama in the cruise community. And if you missed my live stream, you may have missed me talking about what's going on. So today we're gonna do another deep dive for those of you that missed news about what the changes are of Virgin Voyages. So let's get into it. Now, I am probably one of the only people that doesn't think a lot of these changes are a bad thing, so keep that in mind as we're going through this. I'm also going to say that there are some changes that I've seen some people talk about online that I personally have not gotten confirmation of. So I'm not going to be diving deep into those yet because we don't have the full breakdown of how it's going to happen. I'll talk about it a little bit, but it's not going to be like, this is exactly what's going to happen. So that being said, if you are new here, welcome. I'm Jennifer. I am a travel agent, avid cruiser, primarily with Virgin Voyages, but I work with all the cruise lines. So if you are looking to book your next cruise vacation, I'm your girl. I would love to help you out. But today we're going to be focusing on Virgin Voyages and what these changes are. So there has been a lot of confusion about what's going on. So let's back up and kind of talk about where these changes are coming from. What Virgin has been telling us is that they surveyed other travel agents and sailors. People were wanting a way to get on board without having to pay what Virgin's pricing is at currently. And I have my own mixed feelings about this, but I do think what they're trying to do overall, I see the benefit of it. So what they're doing, and I'll throw this graphic that I'm looking at up on the screen here, but as we kind of go through things, but basically they have added 3 new tiers, and then 1 tier is the same as what we have now, but there are some changes to it. So starting off with the lock-it-in rate. This rate technically isn't new, but there are some changes to it. So technically two of the fares that are going to be launching on October 7th are current with some changes. So lock-it-in rates. You're still going to get your basic Wi-Fi included, 1 device per sailor in your cabin. So this change was already made a while back. When Virgin first started out, it was 2 devices. It's now 1, but you can switch between devices. So if I need to use my phone and then I need to send an email on my computer, I can still do that. You just have to switch which device you're using and when. The biggest change coming to lock-it-in rates is instead of booking your dining at 45 days from your embarkation date, you're now going to be able to book your dining 15 days before your embarkation. What is not changing with dining is they are still only opening about 30% ahead of time. So once you get on board, you can still go to Razzle Dazzle, Rojo, whatever restaurant is in that space on the ship you're on, get your dining booked, or do it yourself on the app through Wi-Fi. So again, 15 days before, you can hop on, get whatever reservations you need on lock-it-in rate. For your cabin assignments on a lock-it-in rate, you do not get any choice in what cabin location you are in. So if this is something that's important to you, a lock-it-in rate might not be something that you want to do when you're choosing what fare type to purchase. With the lock-it-in rates, your cabin is assigned within the category you select or above. So if you are selecting an insider lock-it-in rate, the minimum cabin you're going to get is an insider cabin. There is a very, very small chance that you could get something better, but no guarantees because it's based on capacity and what everybody else is booking. So with this rate, because you don't get to choose your location or your cabin number, you are assigned your cabin up to 2 days before you sail. So you will not see a cabin number in your app as you're going through leading up to your embarkation date, but about 48 hours before, you should be able to see where your cabin location is. Keep in mind that because you're booking a guaranteed rate, if you get a location that you're not happy with, you can't change it. So you're kind of stuck with what you get as far as location goes. With this rate as well, you are not able to make any changes to your date. You are not able to cancel. and you are not able to modify the names of the sailors that are sailing with you. So, for example, if I have a sailing next year that I have booked a lock it in rate on because it was very expensive, but it was an itinerary I really wanted to be on for. So my priorities for that sailing were a little different than a normal sailing I would go on. If for whatever reason I could no longer go, I am not able to transfer the booking to another sailor. I'm not able to cancel and get a refund or a future voyage credit. And I'm not able to change that cabin once I'm on board either. Once you, kind of like the name implies, once you make your booking for this rate, you are locked in. There are no adjustments that you can make. Moving on to the first of the new fares, which is your base fare. Base fare, again, is going to include your basic Wi-Fi on one device per sailor that you can switch back and forth between devices if needed. This fare is also getting the 15-day booking window before embarkation for dining. So if your dining reservations and waiting until midnight 45 days plus ahead of time is really important to you, you'll want to consider another fare type or make sure that you're booking on board to, readjust your schedule once you're there. Now, unlike the lock-it-in rates, your cabin assignment is assigned 7 days prior to booking, 7 days prior to sailing. And like lock-it-in rates, there are no date changes, no cabin changes, and no name changes to the primary or secondary sailors. Now, moving on to the essential fare. The essential fare is basically what we get now when we are booking a standard rate sailing. So with this one, you're going to get classic Wi-Fi. Classic Wi-Fi is messaging apps, social media apps, 2 times faster browsing, Wi-Fi audio calling, not video calling, just audio. You're not going to be able to stream on this Wi-Fi tier. So if streaming on Netflix is important to you, you'll want to upgrade. But for the most part, you can do pretty much anything else you would need to do on this tier. You still are keeping your 45-day prior to booking or prior to embarkation dining booking schedule. So nothing is changing there for the essential tier. Your cabin is assigned at booking and you can change it if you need to. So if you're working with someone like me, I will help you pick what the best location is based on your preferences. But if you're booking on your own, you can always call into Sailor Services as well, and they can help you pick a location. Keep in mind, most of the people at Sailor Services have not been on board. So that's kind of a plus to working with a first mate, is that we've been on the ship. We've tried most of the different cabin categories and can advise you on where the best location is for your different preferences. Now, as far as modifications go, you are able, like I said, to change your cabin. You're able to change the date if you need to, up to 45 days before you're sailing, as well as changing the names. The name changes are only up to 48 hours before, and they're only on sailors 2, 3, 4, and beyond. So if you are sailing with 3 or 4 different people, and for some reason one of them can't go and you want to swap for somebody else, you can do that. The only one you cannot change is the primary sailor. So you'll want to make sure you're booking as somebody that is for sure going to go. Now with this fare, you are able to cancel. So if you cancel up to 45 days prior to sailing, you'll get a future voyage credit from Virgin to apply to a different date. So if you for some reason can't go, you have the option of either swapping to a different date and paying the fare difference, or canceling, getting a future voyage credit to use when you're ready to decide when you want to go. The next new tier and final new tier is the premium tier. This is great if you are needing a little bit extra on the Wi-Fi. There are also some other perks that come with this one that you may want to consider whether it's worth it or not. There are rumors on what the upcharge is going to be for this one. What I have heard is $45 per person per night. Not sure how true that is. We'll find out once they launch. But for that upcharge, you are getting messaging on your Wi-Fi, social media, 5 times faster browsing, Wi-Fi audio and video calling, and streaming. So if you're needing to stream Netflix, YouTube, any of those things, this is the tier that you're going to want to be on. You also get 2 devices per sailor, so you won't have to swap back and forth between your laptop and phone or iPad and phone unless you have a 3rd device that you want to connect. Now, the other perk to this tier is that you get an extra 15 days to book your dining. So your dining booking is going to open up at 60 days instead of 45 days or 15 days for the other tiers, which gives you a little bit extra time. And again, same thing, they're only booking 30% in advance. So if you don't get the timing or restaurants that you're wanting, you still have the opportunity to adjust things once you're on board. Just like the essential fare, you're able to change your cabin, you're able to change names on all the sailors, so primary and secondary sailors, and you are also able to change the date if you need to, or cancel up to 45 days in advance for a future voyage credit. Now, in addition to this, you're also getting priority service at Sailor Services, which if you're working with a first mate, you're probably not calling Sailor Services very often. I would definitely recommend going to your first mate first, because we're going to be able to get to you faster and most likely with more up-to-date information than you're going to get from Sailor Services. But if you do need that for whatever reason, you will have a priority access line on Sailor Services. And the final perk that comes on this tier is a $15 per person drink credit per day. So if that's something that interests you, you're basically, you are paying a little bit more to get that. But from what I've seen, if that $45 mark is true with the premium Wi-Fi, it is a little bit cheaper to do this and get the drink credit and the upgraded Wi-Fi and the extra days to book dining than to book the Wi-Fi separately. So you just kind of have to do the math and see what's worth it, what's not. But it is a good option for those of you that are wanting those additional perks. Now, there have not been a ton of changes to the Rockstar options and the perks that come with that status. The biggest change is going to be your dining booking. So previously, the dining booking was about 55 days prior to embarkation. That has now changed to 120 days for Rockstars. So now you are getting access to dining the day that your final payment is due at 120 days before you sail, which is a huge perk, in my opinion. You're still getting the classic Wi-Fi that you would get on the essential tier and that we're currently getting, unless you're a mega Rockstar. If you're a mega Rockstar, you're getting the work at sea Wi-Fi, which is the full package where you can use your VPN, do conference calls, all of those types of things. You're still going to get your VIP priority service when you call into Sailor Services pre-voyage. You're still going to get your Rockstar team on board. You're still going to get your curated in-room bar, all those different perks that typically come with a Rockstar. They are not touching any of that. So you don't have anything to worry about there. Really, the biggest change is that dining booking period. So the other change that has been going around is about the gratuities. There's been some confusion and back and forth about what the change really is. There are some people that have put out there that you now have to prepay for your gratuities and you're able to take them off. We don't know, frankly, if that's true. I have not seen any communication from Virgin that is happening. In the calls that I've been on with them, I have not heard any of that being said. So I don't know where that information is coming from, honestly. What I have been told is that there are several places, domestically and internationally, that are now passing laws that all of these charges need to be split out into line items. Living in Vegas, I have seen this for the last year, where resort fees and things like that, especially in California, or for people coming from California, have to be broken out and disclosed ahead of time. So because they were included in your cruise fare, you're now going to see that as a line item on the breakout. Now, I think this is where the confusion is coming in, because my understanding is that it is not an additional charge. It's already included in your cruise fare. You're just going to be able to see it listed like you would the taxes and port fees when you're checking out. And the average is about $20 a day per person. So I think that's where the confusion is coming in, is that people are assuming they're going to be able to remove that charge like they would on other cruise lines, or opt in to paying it up front. What I am understanding is that you're not able to opt in or opt out. It's still included in your fare. You're just going to see a line item that says this is how much of your fare is gratuity and is going to the... So lots of changes happening. It can be very confusing, and all of these are launching October 7th. So if you already have your cruise booked prior to then, you're going to be grandfathered into the 60-day dining booking period. So if you've had an eye on a sailing and you want to get in before that to make sure you hit those 60-day marks or 120-day marks if you're a rock star, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be happy to get you booked, get you the extra perks that you get for booking through a first mate. We've got some sailor loot and some priority boarding to give you if that's something you're interested in. But it's a lot to digest. So as always, feel free to shoot me an email or put in the comments if you have any questions about how any of this is working. I'm happy to help explain it a little bit more and answer any questions you might have. So with that, thanks so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you think about these changes and everything happening over at Virgin Voyages, and we'll see you next time. Happy cruising.